Facebook is how do we know when the time is right? When we're talking about an arthritic dog with, let's say, no other health issues, but mobility is slowly declining, how can an owner start to decide whether we're getting to that point or not, that euthanasia is needed?
Well, I think there are so many factors that go into that, and it's not a moment in time, because we also know there are good days and bad days. Yeah. And I think there are many factors that go into it. So the factors will be the dog factors, and the ability. So you need, as a whether they're able to do, and in the medical term, they call it the activities of daily living. So they're our basic daily functions. The ability to be able to walk, to posture, to pee and poop, to be able to stand up, to turn around, to make themselves comfortable if they're feeling uncomfortable or just want to get up. So they're, obviously though, but that and the degree to where those factors come into the that final end of life, it really partly depends on the size of the dog, and I think that's quite we understand that large dogs are sadly they're euthanized sooner than small dogs, and I think that's an obvious point. They also depend on whether the dog has any other mobility issues. We see a lot of dogs, if they are fortunate enough and they don't get cancer or organ failure, and they live into a very, very advanced age, and that's where the arthritis and the frailty is more likely to be debilitating. They may also have, for example, dementia. And so it depends on whether they have other issues as well. And they can certainly have other issues such as cancer or heart or various organ failure. Sometimes we'll be treating a dog for its arthritis, and then another illness comes along, because we're talking about, and these are especially in the more older they are, the more likely there are other illnesses that will come along, and then that comes and plays into it. But also part of it is, how is the dog coping with their poorer mobility? Some dogs seem to cope better, some don't, and their ability to cope with it, how comfortable, how much pain, how good is a pain relief that we're giving. Also, and there are a lot of mobility aids, and I'm a big fan of them, and they make life easier for the dog and the owner. And then the other factor that comes into deciding when is time, that's the owner's factor. The owners, they have their own belief, what's called belief systems. So some owners are more comfortable with providing a continual high level of care, that's physical care for them, and attending to all their medical needs and their daily activity needs. Others feel that that they don't feel that that's right for them or their dog, and so those ones naturally will be sooner. And also previous experiences play a huge role in deciding when it's time for the owner. Usually it's for the first time someone is caring for their pet that has a chronic long-term issue, and it's especially if it's slowly declining. They want to do everything, and which is very admirable, but it's really hard when you have a very slow decline to see, to kind of measure the difference. So what's so bad with today compared with yesterday, especially when they're still eating and don't have other issues. Whereas if someone's had experience for caring for a pet with, especially if it's with that illness or condition, and when they look back and they think in hindsight, we think, we just left it too late, they're more likely to euthanize sooner. So it's certainly not a simple. It's not at all easy to decide when is time. There are so many factors and I've just touched on a few of these factors that are all taken into account. Every case is an individual.